Hello my beautiful people, welcome to your weekly general taroscope with me, Raphael from Radiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. Remember, these readings are general, it's kind of like a general overview of the energy, trends, themes that we might be experiencing over the course of the week ahead. This week we've got that powerful full moon that is taking place right at the end of the week, right? We're gearing up to the second full moon in the sign of Aquarius. This is going to be at 29 degrees, which 29 degrees in astrology tends to be the anaretic degree and can sometimes bring out more intensity. Sometimes it can bring, some people say it can bring the shadow side. I like to think of it more as it will bring the full force of whatever that sign represents, and sometimes that can be the sign to extreme, so we might see some of that sort of intensity on the wider world stage. I do get the feeling as well that we're probably going to see some more protests this week, or we're going to hear more about it. Obviously, we've been seeing this as a theme sort of shaping up over this year, as it's like kind of, the people versus the institutions and whatnot. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that, but it's going to start to get more succinct. I think this is where we're going to start to see people pushing back against things that they really don't feel are fair, or that they or that are creating more isolation for certain types of people. So that being said, if you are new to my channel, please don't forget to like, share, and if you should so choose and any of this resonates, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget, I do weekly taroscopes, monthly taroscopes. On top of that, I do special transit videos. I got a whole bunch of really amazing collaborations coming up, so stay tuned for those, and I look forward to connecting with you. For those of you that are continued subbies, Rafi loves you. Thank you so much for being a part of Radiant Reality. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms, there's so many of them this week, with all the forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help us all on our paths to our highest vibrational good. So this week, when I went into my intuition, so the words that I'm using are call on your stamina. So I can see it there in the reflection. So call on your stamina. The reason I say this is so every week when I do the weekly general, I like to give a general message that comes through my intuition. So I'll channel the energy and I'll just see, okay, and I'll be open to it and say, what is it that we need to know this week? And this week I saw two things. So the first one was this giant spiral, but it was going downward, right? And if you know anything about a spiral, like with water, right? The closer it gets to the point where it exits the plug, that spiral gets more intense, right? And so that makes total sense with all of the energies that we've got sort of culminate in this week, right? Full moons are culminations, completions, endings. I like to liken the full moon as well to the kind of energy like almost like when a woman's pregnant, when she's at full moon or full term. It's the end of the pregnancy, but it's the beginning of the life of the child. So yes, it's a completion and an ending, but it's also a beginning in some way, shape or form as well. Now, that powerful new moon that we had in Aquarius at the beginning of the year in February, this is the bookend to that. We're now going to see what it is that we've created, what the results of our manifestations are. So when I saw this giant spiral, and it was like the further down it went, it got really, really intense. And I laugh as well, because at one point I saw a toilet and it was like, this is the cosmic flush, and I laughed about that, but it kind of feels like that, right? There's this sort of maelstrom kind of energy where we feel that it's coming down to a point, right? This is going to be the tipping point in a lot of ways, just like 2020 was a tipping point for a lot of people as well. And when it comes to the next part of this, what I saw was a rhinoceros, like a red one, this giant red rhinoceros, and it was charging. And I was like, okay, well, this is not an animal spirit or energy that I'm familiar with, but I know that it's relevant. So I had to look it up. And when I did look it up, the message that came through was, the rhinoceros is a powerful symbol for stamina, sturdiness, substance, strength, and resilience. And this is where I got these words from. Call on your stamina. Whatever your inner reserves are, whatever you have left in the tank, in the spiritual tank, if you like, right? Whatever you've been saving up in the spiritual or energetic storehouse that you have on the inner planes. It's time to open up that puppy and get going, right? It's time to charge with it. So you've got to tap in to all of those inner resources. You've got to find your stamina. You've got to find your resilience, because this is the moment at which I believe we are going to see a lot of big changes happening on the wider world stage, happening in our personal lives. And because this is that bookend energy, because of that powerful full moon, for me, the real sort of energy that's coming through from that, especially with the spiral, right? We're in that point of intensity now, and this is going to be what happens once it comes to that, right? You get thrown out at the other side. So this is that moment where you have to call on your inner reserves, probably in a way that you haven't this year, so that you can really be ready for what the next 3-4 months of the year is going to be about for all of us, in some way, shape or form. So I'm really, in a way, I'm actually really excited. It does sound kind of intense, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, bring it, bitch. Like, maybe it's just me. I know there's probably a lot of people out there that are like, okay, he's getting way too excited, but we'll see. All right, so for the Destiny card for the week ahead, yeah, baby, look at that. We've got the Magician card, and that makes total sense to me, right? The Magician is not just about communication. It's not just about Mercury. It really is about the way that we transform, transmute, utilize, and direct our power. So this week, in some way, shape or form, the potential is there. What you do with it, how you move with it, what you create with it is really down to you. And with the energy of the moon being in Aquarius, the moon is in an air sign, right? So this is all about the potential of the mind. It's all about tapping into the higher realms to build a future that you truly envision for yourself. This is a really powerful time, guys, so don't waste it. All right, so how do we best utilize or tap into that Magician card energy? And I apologize because this looks like it's shaping up to be quite a long video, and I tried to keep them short because some people like the longer ones, some people like the shorter ones, and it's like trying to find a balance. So for your first card out, you've got the Hanged Man, right? So the Hanged Man always says it's in action, right? This is a moment where you actually take a moment to step back. This is also a very spiritual card. So I talked about the whole spiritual savings account, right? This is the time to draw on that. This is time to tap into those inner resources and inner reserves. The Hierophant, the Hanged Man card coupled with the Magician, that is true spiritual magic, right? This is about tapping into your inner resources and finding a way to. And because the Hangman asks you to step back, right? It asks you no action, right? So this is about pooling your power, basically. These two are basically saying, pool your power. You add to that then the Devil card, right? So the Devil card is all about the manifest or the material, and it's also about remembering that you have a choice, right? So this week, especially with the Hanged Man there, I guess the message is don't get sucked into something and dissipate. If you're going to be out here, I'm going to give you an example, and this feels really, really prominent, right? You're out here, if you went to the bank and drew out your savings, you wouldn't start shouting, oh, look at me, I've got all of my savings in my bag, right? Because the chances are you're going to get, you know, someone's going to give you a bump on the head and going to run away with all of your savings. This week, it kind of feels like that. Don't let the news, don't let old people from your past, don't let old situations, old thought patterns. If you're drawing on all of this spiritual savings account that you have, do not let somebody else hijack that, so that all of that power and energy that you bring to yourself gets dissipated on some shit that really isn't that bloody important to you, right? You've got to stay conscious this week. And then we add to that the Nine of Pentacles. So in a lot of ways, this does feel for me like whatever it is that you've been working on really hard, whatever you've been putting your time, effort, resources into, whatever it is that you've been building and creating and getting to that point where you feel like, yes, this is finally ready. This is the week, right? What it also tells me as well, because it's the Nine of Pentacles with the Devil card, this week, literal overworking, pushing yourself too far. Remember, the body, just like the spiritual energy, you have to spend it in order to get it. You can't hold too much power at any one time. It's like an electrical conduit. What happens? The fuse goes because there's too much power in the same space. We are exactly the same. We are electrical beings. When you think about the human being, we are electrical. So consider that this week. So I would say that the best way to utilize your power this week is to pull that power, to bring it in and stay deadly, directly focused on exactly what it is that you want to create. I think this week you are going to have to hold your point of manifestation, or the thought or the thread of the future that you're pulling on, more than probably any other point of the year. I really feel like this is important. So this week, do not let somebody sidetrack you, because the second you take your focus off what it is that you've pulled all of your spiritual power for, that power is literally going to dissipate into that thing that pulled your focus. Stay focused. All right, so let's have a look at the insight cards. What is coming in this week that we might need to know or be aware of? And this week we have the Judgment card, right? So, I mean, this is a week of closing out cycles. This is a week where we really are seeing the end of certain eras of our lives, this end of certain contracts. I've been talking to a really dear friend about this week, somebody that I actually really respect and I actually consider one of my peers, you know, one of the people that I really look up to. And we've been talking about certain contracts ending. We've been talking about certain timelines converging. It all seems to be taking place. And this point seems to be very, very important. The Judgment card is like literally the end of an era, and it always precedes huge changes. The insight cards tend to represent the things that are going on behind the scenes or shaping up in ways and places that we're not necessarily privy to as yet. Then we've got the Nine of Cups. I will take that all day long, right? If you have been wishing, if you have been hoping, if you've been working towards things and you feel like you've made progress, but not quite the progress that you would like, this energy really does suggest to me that those good things are coming, right? The things that you've worked for, the things that you have patiently and diligently put your time and effort into are coming. For some of you, this literally just looks like a profound sense of fucking peace. And I tell you what, even if it were just that, I will take that all day long. It works for me. Yes! Look at that, right? And then we've got the Sun card with the Nine of Cups and the Judgment card. So I know when I talk about this and everything that I talked about in the message, it seemed quite intense. And I do believe that we're going to have the intensity. But I really believe for those people that have done the work, and this isn't about saying like, oh, you haven't done the work, so you're not getting a present. What I mean is this is for the people that have done the work, for the people that have stayed focused, for the people that have worked really hard on themselves, on their lives, on, you know, shutting out certain things and bringing in certain things and calling in certain things. The blessings and the rewards are absolutely there. Look, right? I cannot make it up. I love this. I absolutely love this. Now, on the wider world stage, I do believe some of the challenges and issues that we've been seeing might dissipate after this week, which I think is really nice. I think we're going to see a lot more cohesion as well, which I'm really excited about. And the other thing as well, this suggests that a lot of the things that are coming into people's lives this week are going to be the result of hard efforts already put in. Remember, anything that the Sun card touches, it lightens and brightens. And I really feel like in a lot of ways this week we are going to have some really great news. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic week. It looks like we will. It's not going to be without its challenges, right? We've got the Devil card coupled with the Hanged Man. I mean, on a really practical level with the Nine of Pentacles, this could be the need or the desire for perfection, but you know, the real precise kind of perfection, which makes total sense. Why? Because as we get to the end of this week on the 22nd, the Sun is going to move into the exacting and precise energy of Virgo. So it's going to be a packed week. It's going to be a powerful week. And for myself, I have to say, I'm really excited, not just for me, but for everybody. So stay tuned on all of the amazing, lovely bits and pieces that I've got coming up for you. And also keep me posted in the comments on how this shapes up for you specifically. I wish you all of the best. Take care, and I'll see you soon.